I never wanted you. The words cut through the reception hall like a blade. Cho Pan-yeol's voice was cold, measured, deadly. Anita Williams stood frozen, champagne glass trembling in her hand, as her husband of exactly 2 hours glared at her with undisguised contempt. You understand me? He continued in perfect English, stepping closer. His designer tuxedo was immaculate. This marriage is a business transaction. Nothing more. Don't ever mistake it for anything else. The Korean and international guests pretended not to notice, but Anita felt every eye on her. Her white wedding gown suddenly felt like a costume, a beautiful lie. She'd walked down that aisle with hope, however fragile. Now it shattered at her feet. I understand, she said quietly, lifting her chin. She wouldn't cry. Not here. Not for him. Pan-yeol's dark eyes flickered with something. Surprise, maybe, at her composure, before he turned away, switching to rapid Korean as he rejoined his men. Anita caught fragments. She understood more than he knew. Igun saobir bunia, he told his second-in-command. Jung Min-woo. Just business. She means nothing. Anita set down her glass before she could throw it. 3 months earlier, her world had been completely different. Dr. Anita Williams, trauma surgeon at Johns Hopkins, saving lives and building a career she'd sacrificed everything for. Then her father's company collapsed. Shipping empire drowning in debt, her family's legacy crumbling. The solution came from an unexpected place. A marriage alliance with the Cho family, one of South Korea's most powerful crime syndicates. You don't have to do this, her father had said, tears in his eyes. But she did. Family was everything. So she'd said yes to marrying a man she'd never met, left her career behind, and flown to Seoul with her heart full of desperate optimism. Maybe they could build something. Maybe love could grow. What a fool she'd been. The reception dragged on for hours. Pan-yeol didn't speak to her again. He drank expensive whiskey with his associates, laughed at jokes she couldn't hear, and acted as if she didn't exist. His grandmother, the formidable Cho matriarch who'd arranged this union, watched everything with unreadable eyes. When the torture finally ended, Pan-yeol's driver took them to his penthouse in Gangnam. The building was all glass and steel, breathtaking views of Seoul's glittering skyline. Anita had barely absorbed the luxury before Pan-yeol was giving her the rules. Your wing is on the east side. Mine is west. Don't enter my space without permission. He loosened his tie, not looking at her. I leave early. I return late. You won't see me much. We're married, Anita said, hating how small her voice sounded. We could at least try to. Try to what? He finally looked at her, and the ice in his gaze made her step back. Fall in love? Build a life together? This isn't a fairy tale. You're here because your father needed money and my family needed legitimate business connections. That's all. I gave up everything for this, she whispered. Then you're more foolish than I thought. He walked toward his wing, then paused. Stay out of my way, Anita. That's all I ask. She stood alone in that massive penthouse, still in her wedding dress, and finally let herself cry. The next 2 weeks were purgatory. Pan-yeol kept his word. She barely saw him. He left before dawn, returned after midnight. When their paths did cross, he looked through her like she was glass. Anita explored Seoul, trying to find purpose. She studied Korean language apps obsessively, wanting to understand this world she'd been thrust into. One morning, she woke at 5 and made traditional Korean breakfast, doenjang jjigae, rice, banchan, using recipes she'd researched. She arranged it carefully on the table, hoping for something. Connection, acknowledgement, anything. Pan-yeol walked through the kitchen at 6, grabbed his briefcase, and left without a glance at the food. Anita stared at the untouched meal and made a decision. She wouldn't break. She wouldn't beg. She'd find her own way to matter. Her medical training became her salvation. The penthouse saw a steady stream of Pan-yeol's lower-ranking men. Injuries from fights, knife wounds, broken bones. They'd come seeking the boss, but he was never there. Anita started treating them. First aid, stitches, pain management. Word spread quickly through the organization. Samonim has healing hands, they whispered. The boss's wife. She learned their names, their stories. Park Young-hoon, whose sister was sick. Kim Tae-young, who sent money to his aging parents. Lee Sora, one of the few female enforcers, fierce and loyal. They started to trust her, to respect her. Pan-yeol found out, of course. Your wife interferes, Min-woo reported one evening. Anita was in the next room, close enough to hear. She treats our men, asks questions about operations. Let her play doctor, Pan-yeol said dismissively. It keeps her occupied and out of my business. She's harmless. Harmless. The word stung worse than his wedding day cruelty. Anita gripped the medical kit in her hands, jaw tight. She'd show him harmless. She began paying closer attention to everything. The phone calls Pan-yeol took in Korean and Mandarin. The tension in his shoulders when the Zhang family was mentioned, a rival Chinese syndicate. The way Min-woo watched her with calculating eyes that made her skin crawl. Something was building. She could feel it. 3 weeks into the marriage, Pan-yeol held a late-night meeting in his office. Anita was organizing medical supplies in the adjacent room when she heard Min-woo's voice. The Zhang family wants peace talks. We've lost too many men in this territorial war. The Zhangs don't want peace, Pan-yeol said. They want weakness. Hungnim, the other families are pressuring us. They want this conflict ended. A long silence. Then Pan-yeol, fine. Arrange it. The waterfront warehouse. Neutral ground. But I'm bringing full security. Of course, boss. After they left, Anita stood in the dark, her instincts screaming. She'd heard Min-woo make a phone call earlier, speaking Mandarin with too much familiarity. Her medical training had taught her to trust her gut. It saved lives. And right now, her gut said something was very wrong. The meeting was scheduled for 3 days away. Anita tried to warn him. She found Pan-yeol in his office the next morning. Rare moment when he was home. Don't go to that meeting. He looked up from his laptop, irritation flashing across his handsome features. Excuse me? The Zhang meeting. Something feels wrong about it. You know nothing about my business, he said coldly. This is exactly why I told you to stay out of my affairs. I'm trying to help. I don't need your help. He stood, and even though he wasn't tall, his presence filled the room. You're a doctor playing at understanding a world you'll never comprehend. Know your place, Anita. She left before she said something she'd regret. Fine. She tried. If he wanted to walk into danger, that was his choice. But as the meeting day arrived, she couldn't shake her dread. Pan-yeol left at 9 p.m. with 5 of his best men. Anita watched from the penthouse windows as their black SUVs disappeared into Seoul's traffic. She should let it go. He'd made it clear he didn't want her concern. 30 minutes passed. The dread grew stronger. Damn it, she muttered, grabbing her jacket and phone. She took a taxi to the waterfront, giving the driver vague directions. The warehouse district was industrial, abandoned at night. She had him drop her 2 blocks away. Anita approached carefully, staying in shadows. The warehouse was massive, corrugated metal and broken windows. She could see vehicles outside, too many vehicles. Pan-yeol's black SUVs, but also others. Chinese plates. Her heart hammered. She crept closer. Inside, she heard voices. Pan-yeol's measured Korean. Then chaos. Gunfire erupted like thunder. Muzzle flashes lit up the warehouse windows. Men screaming. The sound of bodies hitting concrete. Anita's medical training kicked in. She cataloged the sounds. Multiple shooters. Automatic weapons. Ambush. She ran toward a side entrance. Every instinct telling her to flee but unable to leave. More gunfire. An explosion, something had ignited. Flames licked up the warehouse walls. Men poured out. Zhang soldiers, Min-woo among them, very much alive and unharmed. Her suspicion confirmed. Betrayal. Find Cho's body, someone shouted in Mandarin. Make sure he's dead. Anita's blood ran cold. She circled the building, frantic. The warehouse was an inferno now. No one could survive that. But then she saw movement in the alley beyond. Someone stumbling, leaving a dark trail. She ran. Pan-yeol collapsed against a dumpster, clutching his abdomen. Blood soaked through his white shirt, his jacket abandoned. His face was pale, lips pressed tight against pain. He'd been shot at least twice, maybe more. Pan-yeol! She dropped beside him. His eyes struggled to focus. Anita? No. Run. Shut up. She pressed her hands against his wounds, blood hot and slick. I'm getting you out of here. Why did you come? Because I'm a doctor and you're an idiot who doesn't listen. She stripped off her jacket, wadding it against his abdomen. The shoulder wound was through and through, but the abdominal was bad. Possibly liver damage. He needed surgery. Voices echoed from the warehouse. Zhang's men searching. Can you walk? She whispered urgently. Don't. No. Try. Now. She hauled him up, his arm over her shoulders. He was heavier than he looked, dead weight and fading. They stumbled through the alley, Anita supporting most of his weight. Blood dripped steadily. She needed to stop the bleeding or he'd die before they escaped. Her taxi was gone, of course. The street was deserted except for one old delivery truck. Anita lowered Pan-yeol behind it, then checked the cab. Unlocked, keys in the ignition. Seoul's low crime rate finally working in her favor. Forgive me, she muttered, and hotwired the truck. Thank you, rebellious teenage years with her cousin. She dragged Pan-yeol into the passenger seat. He was barely conscious, head lolling. She gunned the engine and drove. Where? Taking me. His voice was slurred. Somewhere safe. Stay awake, Pan-yeol. You hear me? Stay awake. Not a hospital, they'd have informants there. Not the penthouse compromised. She needed somewhere off-grid with medical supplies. Then she remembered. A patient she treated, Young-hoon's sister, had mentioned an abandoned clinic in Itaewon. Shut down for code violations but still full of equipment. Anita drove like her life depended on it. Maybe it did. The clinic was exactly where Young-hoon's sister said. A narrow building between a noribang and a closed restaurant. Anita parked in the back alley, then assessed Pan-yeol. His breathing was shallow, pulse thready, going into shock. Stay with me, she commanded, cupping his face. His skin was cold and clammy. Pan-yeol, look at me. Stay with me. His eyes opened slightly. Why do you care? Because despite everything, you're my husband. Now stop talking and let me save your life. She broke into the clinic through a back window, then carried supplies to the truck. Pan-yeol had passed out. Better for what came next. Getting him inside was brutal. He was dead weight and she was exhausted. But Anita had moved plenty of patients in the ER. She used a loading dolly from the alley, praying it would hold. Inside, the clinic was dusty but intact. She found the surgical room, flipped on emergency power, and thanked God the generators still worked. One surgical lamp flickered to life. Anita laid Pan-yeol on the table and got to work. She cut away his bloody shirt, revealing 3 gunshot wounds, shoulder, abdomen, and a graze across his ribs. The abdominal wound was the priority. She scrubbed in as best she could, found surgical gloves, instruments, sutures. This is going to hurt, she told his unconscious form. But I've got you. The bullet had gone clean through, missing major arteries by centimeters. Lucky, but there was internal bleeding. Anita worked with steady hands, the way she'd done hundreds of times. Pack the wound, find the bleeders, cauterize, suture layer by layer. Hours passed. Her back ached. Her hands cramped. But she didn't stop. Pan-yeol stirred occasionally, muttering in Korean. Delirious. 어머니, 미안해요. 보호하지 못해서. Mother, I'm sorry. I couldn't protect you. Anita's hands never wavered. She finished the abdominal repair, then moved to the shoulder. Cleaned it, sutured it, dressed it. The rib graze just needed cleaning and bandaging. By the time she finished, dawn light crept through the dirty windows. Pan-yeol's vitals were stabilized. Weak but stable. She'd done it. Anita collapsed into a chair, still in her blood-soaked clothes, and let exhaustion take her. She woke to Pan-yeol's voice. Anita. Soft. Wondering. So different from his usual cold tone. She jolted upright. He was awake, watching her with dark eyes that actually saw her for the first time. "You're awake," she said, medical assessment kicking in. She checked his pulse, his temperature. "Fever's down. That's good. You saved my life. That's what doctors do. You came for me. After everything I said to you. After how I treated you." His voice was raw. "Why?" Anita met his gaze steadily. "Because despite what you think of me, despite how you've treated me, I took vows. For better or worse. And I don't let people die if I can help it." Something shifted in his expression. Shame, maybe. Recognition. "고마워요." Thank you. Anita switched to Korean, her pronunciation careful but clear. "천만에요." You're welcome. His eyes widened in shock. You speak Korean? I've been studying, learning, understanding." She held his stare. "I understood every word you said at our wedding reception. Every insult, every dismissal, every conversation you had about me in Korean, thinking I wouldn't know." Pan-yeol closed his eyes, jaw tight. "Anita, Min-woo betrayed you." She cut in, refocusing. "He set you up. I heard him on the phone speaking Mandarin with the Zhongs. I tried to warn you. You were right. I should have listened." He tried to sit up, grimaced at the pain. "Don't move. You'll tear your stitches." She adjusted his fore. She'd found fluids and set up a drip. "You lost a lot of blood. You need rest. We can't stay here. The Zhongs will be looking for me. Min-woo will assume I'm dead. But once they don't find a body, then we make them think you're dead. We use that advantage." Pan-yeol studied her with new eyes. "You think strategically. I'm a trauma surgeon. Strategy is survival. I've been in war zones with Doctors Without Borders. I know how to stay alive when everyone wants you dead." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "I underestimated you." "Yes, you did." Silence fell between them, but it was different now. Not hostile. Searching. "My mother was African American," Pan-yeol said suddenly. Anita stilled, listening. "A jazz singer from New York. She met my father when he was doing business there. They fell in love. His family never accepted her. A black woman, an outsider. They were cruel to her. My grandmother especially." His voice was steady but haunted. "When I was 12, rival gangs attacked our home. They killed my mother. Shot her protecting me. My father blamed himself, spiraled into grief, died 2 years later. My grandmother raised me after that. She said my father's weakness was loving someone who made us vulnerable. She said emotions were weakness. Outsiders were threats." He looked at Anita. "So I became what she wanted. Cold. Ruthless. I erased everything about my mother. Her music, her warmth, her love. I became pure Cho family. I swore never to need anyone. Never to be weak." Anita's throat tightened. "I'm sorry about your mother. But punishing me for her loss? Making me pay for your pain? That's not strength, Pan-yeol. That's fear." "I know." His hand trembled as he reached for hers. "I see that now. You're nothing like what I expected. You're strong, brave, intelligent. You saved my life when you could have let me die. When you should have let me die after how I treated you. I don't abandon people," she said quietly. "I was cruel to you. I took out my anger and my trauma on someone innocent. On someone who gave up everything to save her family. Just like my mother would have done." His fingers curled around hers. "I'm sorry, Anita. Truly." It was the most honest he'd ever been with her. Anita saw the vulnerability in his eyes, the shame, the regret. This was the real Cho Pan-yeol, beneath the ice. "We can't change the past," she said. "But we can change what comes next. If there is a next." Min-woo has seized control. The Zhongs will be consolidating power. My organization will fragment within days. The other families will absorb my territory. His jaw clenched. "I've lost everything." "Not everything. You have me." Pan-yeol stared at her. "Why would you help me after?" "Because despite everything, you're my husband. And because I'm realizing I'm not harmless at all. I'm smart, strategic, and I have resources you need. Anita leaned forward, her eyes blazing. Minwoo thinks you're dead. That's our advantage. We use it. We take back what's yours. But we do it together. As partners. As equals. For the first time since she'd met him, Cho Pan-yeol smiled. Really smiled. And it transformed his entire face. Partners, he agreed. Tell me your plan. If you're enjoying this story, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you think will happen next. Will Anita and Pan-yeol take down Minwoo? Can they rebuild trust? Let's continue this journey together. Anita stood and began pacing, her mind working through possibilities. 3 days in hiding had given her time to think. First, we need to know what we're dealing with. Who's loyal to you versus who's switched to Minwoo? Young-hoon, Taeyong and Sora, Pan-yeol said without hesitation. They weren't at the meeting. I trust them with my life. I know them. I've treated all 3. Anita nodded. Young-hoon's sister had pneumonia. I got her antibiotics. Taeyong had a knife wound last week. Sora broke her hand in a fight. Pan-yeol's expression shifted to something like wonder. You remember all of them. I remember everyone I treat. They're not just soldiers to me. They're people. She met his eyes. That's the difference between you and Minwoo. You inspired loyalty through respect. He'll try to rule through fear. That's his weakness. How do we use it? We prove Minwoo is a traitor. We get evidence the other families can't ignore. And we show them you're not just alive. You're stronger than ever. Anita pulled out her phone. My father still has connections in international shipping. That means access to port security systems, including the waterfront warehouse. Pan-yeol tried to sit up, grimacing. Security footage. If we can get the recording, we prove Minwoo orchestrated the ambush. We show the Zhangs attacking first. We expose the conspiracy. Anita was already texting her father. But we need more than footage. We need witnesses. We need to turn some of Minwoo's new allies. That's dangerous. Everything about this is dangerous. But I didn't pull 3 bullets out of you just to let Minwoo win. Her phone buzzed. Her father's response was immediate. Anything you need, sweetheart. I'll have the footage by morning. Pan-yeol watched her with an intensity that made her skin warm. You're not what I thought at all. No, I'm not harmless. I'm not weak. And I'm not going anywhere. She sat on the edge of the surgical table, careful not to jostle him. But I need to know something. If we do this, if we take back your organization, what then? Do we go back to the way things were? Separate wings, separate lives? No. His hand found hers again, grip stronger now. Never again. I was wrong about everything, Anita. I was wrong about you, about strength, about what matters. These 3 days talking with you, seeing how your mind works. I don't want to lose this. I don't want to lose you. You never had me to lose, she said softly. You pushed me away from the beginning. Then let me try to earn you now. Not as a business arrangement. As a real marriage. As partners. His dark eyes searched hers. If you'll give me that chance. Anita's heart thundered in her chest. She'd buried her hope so deep, convinced herself she could live without it. But here it was, fragile and terrifying, blooming again. One chance, Pan-yeol. Don't waste it. He pulled her down gently, mindful of his injuries, and kissed her. It was soft, tentative, nothing like the cold formality of their wedding day. It tasted like new beginnings and desperate promises. When they broke apart, Anita's phone was buzzing. Her father. She answered, switching to speaker. I've got the footage, her father said, voice tight with worry. Anita, this shows premeditated murder. Minwoo and the Zhangs planned this for weeks. But sweetheart, this is dangerous. Maybe you should come home. I am home, Dad, and we're going to make this right. She looked at Pan-yeol. Send the footage to this number. Encrypted. Already done. Be careful. I love you. Love you too. The footage came through minutes later. Pan-yeol watched it on Anita's phone, his jaw tightening with each frame. There was Minwoo, arriving early, directing Zhang soldiers to positions. The ambush was choreographed perfectly. When Pan-yeol's team arrived, they never stood a chance. "He's been planning this for months," Pan-yeol said, voice deadly quiet. "I trusted him like a brother." "I know. I'm sorry." Anita squeezed his hand. "But now we have proof. Now we fight back." Over the next 2 days, they planned meticulously. Pan-yeol contacted Jung-hoon through an encrypted messaging app they'd set up years ago for emergencies. The response was immediate. Per Hung-nim, we thought you were dead." Min-woo said the Zhangs killed everyone. Min-woo lied. "He's the traitor. I need you, Taeyong and Sora. Can you get out without being followed?" "Or you? Anything." "Where?" Pan-yeol gave them the clinic address. They arrived after midnight. Jung-hoon tall and scarred, Taeyong built like a tank, and Sora compact and fierce. All three stopped dead when they saw Pan-yeol alive. "Hung-nim," Jung-hoon breathed, dropping to his knees. "We mourned you. I'm harder to kill than Min-woo thought. Thanks to my wife." Pan-yeol gestured to Anita. Sora's eyes widened. "Samonim saved you. She did more than save me. She's the reason we're going to take everything back." Pan-yeol played them the footage. Their expressions hardened with each second. "That bastard," Taeyong growled. "I'll kill him myself." "Not yet. First, we need to know what we're up against." "What's the situation?" Jung-hoon reported. "Min-woo has seized your assets, claimed leadership. He's allied with the Zhangs, splitting territory. The other families are watching. If you don't resurface within 48 hours, they'll vote to dissolve your organization and divide it among themselves." 48 hours, Anita said. "Then we have a deadline. How do we even begin?" Sora asked. "Min-woo has 30 soldiers now, plus Zhang reinforcements. We're 5 people. 5 people with the truth, with strategy, and with nothing to lose." Anita pulled up a map of Seoul on her laptop. "Pan-yeol, where would Min-woo set up his new headquarters?" "My office building in Gangnam. It's a symbol of power. He'll want to occupy it, show he's the new boss." "Good. That's where we hit him." The 3 soldiers stared at her. Jung-hoon said carefully, "Samonim, that building has security, armed guards. And I have my father's shipping connections, which means access to building schematics, security systems, and delivery schedules." Anita was already typing. "We don't go in guns blazing. We go in smart." Pan-yeol smiled, pride evident in his eyes. "Tell us your plan." For the next hour, Anita laid it out. Her father could get them building access through a scheduled shipment. She'd create a diversion using the fire suppression system. Her medical knowledge extended to chemical reactions. They'd use the chaos to infiltrate, isolate Min-woo, and extract him. "Then what?" Taeyong asked. "Even if we grab him, the families won't just accept your word. They will when they see the footage and hear Min-woo's confession." Pan-yeol's voice was steel. "We'll call an emergency council. All the families. We expose him publicly." "It's risky," Sora said, but she was smiling. "I like it." They spent the next day preparing. Anita's father arranged a medical supply delivery to the building, legitimate, unsuspicious. He also sent weapons hidden in the shipment. Anita worked with chemicals from the clinic, creating a compound that would trigger the fire suppression system without actual fire. Pan-yeol watched her work, still recovering but getting stronger. "Where did you learn this?" "Doctors Without Borders, Syria. Sometimes you need to create diversions to evacuate patients from combat zones." She mixed carefully. "I've seen a lot of terrible things, Pan-yeol. I've learned to adapt." "You're extraordinary." She glanced at him. "You're just figuring that out?" "No. I'm just allowing myself to say it." He moved closer, wrapping his arms around her from behind. His wounds were healing well. Her surgical work had been precise. "After this is over, I want to do things right. Court you properly. Learn everything about you. Build a real life together." Anita leaned back against him. "First we have to survive." "We will. Together." That night, before the operation, they had a quiet moment on the clinic roof. Seoul sprawled below them, millions of lights against the darkness. Anita felt Pan-yeol's hand find hers. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I'm a doctor. I save lives. Tomorrow I might have to take them." "You won't. You'll be with me and I'll handle that part." "But Anita," he turned her to face him. "If something goes wrong, if we get separated, you run. You go to your father, you leave Korea, you forget about me." "Not happening." "Anita." "No." She cupped his face. Fierce. "We're in this together. Partners, remember? I didn't save your life just to lose you now. We both make it out or neither of us does." Pan-yeol kissed her, deep and desperate. When they broke apart, he whispered against her lips, "당신을 사랑합니다. I love you." Anita's breath caught. "It's too soon to say that." "Maybe. But I might not get another chance, and I need you to know." His forehead touched hers. "I love you, Anita Williams. I think I started falling the moment you told me to shut up and let you save my life." Tears pricked her eyes. "You're an idiot. Is that a yes? Ask me again when we're safe." She kissed him once more. "But for the record, I'm falling too." The next evening they moved. Anita rode in the delivery truck with Jung-hoon, disguised as medical supply workers. Pan-yeol, Taeyong, and Sora entered through the underground parking using stolen access cards. The building was impressive, 30 floors of glass and steel. The top floor Pan-yeol's former office. Now Minwoo's. Anita's heart hammered as they cleared security with fake IDs her father had provided. The guard barely glanced at them. They took the service elevator to the 28th floor, 2 floors below Minwoo. Anita worked quickly, accessing the building's HVAC system through a maintenance panel. She introduced her chemical compound into the ventilation. "How long?" Jung-hoon whispered. 3 minutes. When the alarms sound, people will evacuate. That's our window. Right on schedule, alarms blared. Sprinkler systems activated. People flooded into stairwells, confused and panicking. Anita and Jung-hoon moved against the crowd, heading up. They met Pan-yeol's team on the 29th floor. Pan-yeol had changed into a black tactical suit, armed and dangerous. He looked every inch the Mafia boss he was. His eyes found Anita's. "Stay behind me," he commanded. "Stay beside you," she corrected. They moved up to the 30th floor. Minwoo's guards were distracted by the chaos, radios crackling with confused reports. Taeyong and Sora took them down efficiently, quietly. They were outnumbered but had surprise and skill. The top floor was eerily quiet. Minwoo's office, Pan-yeol's office, was at the end of the hall. The door was open. He was inside on the phone, barking orders in Korean. "It's a false alarm, you idiots. Get everyone back." He looked up and saw Pan-yeol in the doorway. The phone clattered from Minwoo's hand. His face went white. "No, you're dead. I saw you shot. I saw the warehouse burn." Disappointed, Pan-yeol stepped inside, his team flanking him. Anita stayed close. "You should have made sure, Minwoo. That was sloppy." Minwoo's hand moved toward his desk drawer. Sora's gun clicked. "Don't," she warned. Minwoo froze, then slowly raised his hands. His eyes darted to Anita. "The wife. You saved him." "I did," Anita said calmly. "And now we're here to take back what you stole." "You think the families will accept you after you disappeared?" Minwoo laughed. Desperate. "I told them you were killed by the Zhongs. I'm protecting your territory. I'm the leader now. You're a traitor." Pan-yeol moved closer. "You sold out your brothers for Chinese money. You murdered 5 loyal men. And you thought you'd get away with it. I will get away with it. The Zhongs will." Jung-hoon hit him. Minwoo went down hard, blood streaming from his nose. "Bind him," Pan-yeol ordered. Taeyong zip-tied Minwoo's hands. "We're calling a council meeting. All the families. Tonight." "They'll never come," Minwoo spat. "They will when they hear I'm alive and I have proof of your betrayal." Pan-yeol pulled out his phone. "You're finished, Minwoo. The only question is whether you confess now or after they see the footage." Minwoo's face crumpled. He'd lost and he knew it. 3 hours later, the council convened in a neutral location. a private restaurant in Itaewon, owned by the Lee family. Every major syndicate sent representatives. The room buzzed with tension when Pan-yeol walked in, very much alive, with Min-woo in custody. Gasps echoed. The Zhang representative stood, face darkening. "This is impossible. Sit down," Pan-yeol commanded. His voice carried absolute authority. "You'll want to see this." He played the warehouse footage on the restaurant screen. Every angle, every betrayal. Min-woo coordinating with the Zhangs. The ambush, the murder of Pan-yeol's men. The room erupted in angry Korean. The families were furious. The sanctity of their agreements had been violated. Zhang tried to argue, but the evidence was undeniable. Pan-yeol's grandmother stood, her presence silencing everyone. She studied the screen, then her grandson, then Anita standing beside him. "The penalty for betrayal is death," she said in Korean. "Young Min-woo, you have dishonored the Cho family. The council will decide your fate." She turned to the Zhang representative. "Your family collaborated in the murder of Cho soldiers. This is an act of war." The other families voted quickly. The Zhangs were sanctioned, their Seoul operations dissolved. Min-woo was sentenced. Pan-yeol's position was restored. But Pan-yeol shocked them all. "I accept my restoration with one condition," he said in Korean, then English. "My wife, Anita Williams, becomes my equal partner in all operations. She saved my life. She planned this operation. She has earned her place at this table." The room fell silent. Anita felt every eye on her. Pan-yeol's grandmother's gaze was particularly intense. Then his grandmother spoke. "A woman? An outsider?" She paused. "Like your mother." Pan-yeol stepped forward. "Yes, like my mother who you never accepted, who you drove away, who died protecting me while you taught me to be cold and alone." His voice didn't waver. "Anita is brilliant, strategic, and stronger than half the men in this room. She has my complete trust. She will be my partner, or I walk away from everything." The council members looked at each other, uncertain. Then Anita stepped forward, head high. She wore a black hanbok with modern styling that her father had sent. Respect for tradition, strength in modernity. "I understand your hesitation," she said in careful Korean, then switched to English. "I'm a Black American woman in a Korean organization. I'm a doctor, not a soldier. But I've proven my worth. I saved your leader's life. I exposed the traitor among you. I helped restore order." She met each gaze steadily. "I ask not for acceptance based on my husband's position, but on my own merit. Judge me by my actions." Silence. Then Pan-yeol's grandmother stood again. She walked slowly to Anita, her aged face unreadable. For a long moment, she simply looked at her. Then she said in English, "You remind me of her, his mother, strong, brave, refusing to bow." A tear slid down her weathered cheek. "I was wrong to push her away. I lost my son because of my pride. I will not lose my grandson the same way." She took Anita's hand and placed it in Pan-yeol's. "The Cho family accepts this partnership. Anyone who objects can answer to me." No one objected. The council ended with Pan-yeol's power restored and expanded. The families respected strength, and he'd shown it by surviving, adapting, and winning. Anita was recognized as his equal, unprecedented but undeniable. Later that night, back at the penthouse, Anita and Pan-yeol stood on the balcony overlooking Seoul. The city glittered beneath them, beautiful and dangerous and theirs. "We did it," Anita whispered. "You did it. You saved me in every way a person can be saved." Pan-yeol turned her to face him. "I told you I never wanted you. I was a fool. You're not just my salvation. You're my strength, my equal, my everything. So we're really doing this? Building something real together? A partnership, a marriage, a life." He smiled, that rare, genuine smile that transformed his face. "If you'll have me." "One condition," Anita said. "No more secrets, no more walls. We face everything together." "No more secrets," Pan-yeol agreed. He kissed her, deep and passionate, and Anita felt her heart soar. This was what she'd hoped for when she walked down that aisle. Not the cold stranger who rejected her, but this partnership, this love, this future. When they broke apart, Pan-yeol said in Korean, "Saranghae Anita." Anita smiled. "I love you too," in English and Korean and every language in between. They stood together as the city lights blazed below, two people who'd found each other in the darkest circumstances and built something beautiful from the ashes. The unwanted bride had become the irreplaceable partner. The cold mafia boss had learned to love. And together they were unstoppable. Before we end, if the story moved you, please hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment telling me your favorite moment. Was it when Anita saved Pan-yeol's life? Or when he finally told her he loved her? And don't forget to like this video so more people can discover this story. Your support means everything and helps me create more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.